Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask an Action Coach. I am Joseph Muenich. I work in business development at Action Coach of Wisconsin. As always, I am here with Jackie Zach. Jackie is a certified business and executive coach with Action Coach of Wisconsin. And Jackie and I have for a few weeks now been talking about the 5 ways, the 5 numbers that you can test and measure that influence growing your business. And just this morning, Jackie and I have spent a long time talking about leads. And I think, am I right, Jackie, in thinking that what we decided was it really comes down to deciding what a lead is for you. Is that right?
Yes, and how you're going to count it,
Yes. Yes.
right?
So how do you decide what a lead is and how do you count it?
Right, exactly. And that is a great question because I get that question a lot. And the big thing is once you decide, you do it that way consistently.
Okay.
Right. So the hard part is deciding. Just like as you and I spent a lot of time talking about this topic because there's so many places to go with it. So today we're only going to focus on how are you going to measure it, and there's a lot of ways to do that. So the very first thing I would say is a lead is someone who raises their hand and says, I'm interested in learning more. Number one. But what is a qualified, answering the question, what is a qualified lead in your business? Because not every lead is a qualified lead. And what do I mean by a qualified lead? A qualified lead is someone who fits your target market, somebody who raises their hand and says, I'm interested in what you have, somebody who is willing to give you their contact details, for example, so that you can follow up with them. Those are things that make them a qualified lead. So that's number one, is what's a qualified lead for you? Answering that question. Number two is, qualified leads come from lots of places. They could come from Google reviews. They could come from your website. They could come from email, standing in line at the grocery store. They could come from anywhere. So you also want to track, where are they coming from, right? And it's really the thing that made them take action today. Because a business, you have lots of areas maybe that you're marketing, because leads is all about marketing, but it's the thing that made them take action today. So whether it's to call you, email you, whatever, that is how I would start answering that question, is where did they come from and what made them take action today? So then the thing is being consistent. You want to make sure that not only if you're the only one tracking the leads, that's one thing, but if you have other people in your organization who are bringing leads in, maybe business development people, or maybe just employees that work there that are tell people when the opportunity arises, you want to make sure that everybody is counting it the same. And I know in our organization, we have flip-flopped, and we have tried to test and measure and decide. And so, right now, what is it? How do you, Joseph, make that decision? Or how did we as a team make that decision?
Well, there was a number of different levels. We could say, is it when a person comes to a presentation, or is it when that person that has come to the presentation says, I'm interested in learning more, or let's have a 20-minute call, or is it when we decide to do a business strategy session? Is that when we call someone a potential customer? And so we all came to an agreement that it was like, this part is marketing, but this is the moment at which the sales process starts to kick in. And so we all came to that agreement and said, yep, this is when we're going to consider them a lead. And
Exactly.
just like you said, we all had to agree. And then, but moving forward, we're all getting to that point on the same page. So it makes it very, very clear.
Right. And it makes it a lot easier to count.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So a couple of things: you want to make sure that they're qualified leads. You want to make sure they have given you some way to contact them. So their details,
Yep.
their email address and phone number, for example. So those are two ways to do that, and they fit your target market, which qualifies them to be a lead in your company. So all three of those questions are answered. And then where did they come from? Because you may be out doing networking events, and someone who has seen you, they've seen you via Google, via Facebook. Now you're at a networking event, and it's at that point, something you said, something you did says, okay, I need you. Let's talk.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So as a group, you want to decide what it is. You want to be consistent. You want to test and measure where they came from. And last but not least, what do you do when somebody says, I'm not interested now? Because when people don't buy from you, most of the time it's no, not now, not just a no. So if it's no, not now, at what point do you consider them a lead again? So in terms of if they have, you met with them, they said no. Now 3 years later, they've changed their mind and they've decided I'm ready, and they come back into the system through marketing. Do you count them as a lead again and start the process over?
Yeah.
So I know in our business, what happens there?
Well, they usually go into, what we consider like a not now or a cold lead area. And it's important to have that sort of pool, because you still want to market sometimes to those cold leads to let them know that you're still around. And when it is time to say yes, they can come back. But usually it's after a period of time, like after a year, things in their business have probably changed enough that we can recount them again as a new lead. And we'd want to go through the whole process with them of becoming a customer.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that you also have something in place that says we count them a lead again after this much time, or
Yep.
whatever that criteria is for you. It may not be time, it may be something else.
Mhm.
So it's making sure that you're consistent, making sure you're counting them from all channels that they could come in, and make sure you're counting where they come from, and that they're qualified to be a customer for you. So again, understanding, they give you their details, they're in your target market, and they raise their hand and say, I'm interested in learning more. So those are just a couple of things. The reason it took us so long to come up with this information is because sometimes tracking leads can be confusing.
Mhm.
So if you use a couple of those strategies, that'll be a great place to get you started.
And you can look into the past to track your leads, isn't that right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're out there thinking this is confusing or this sounds difficult, and you'd like an opportunity to talk with Jackie and sit down to talk more about tracking your leads that have come in over the past year or years, we can set that up for you. All you got to do is click on the link above. It'll take you to a quick form that you can fill out, and then we will happily schedule your business strategy session. Jackie, I love talking about leads because I work in lead generation, and this is like right at home for me. So thank you so much for all of your help and tips today.
Thank you. And stay tuned for future episodes, because we got a lot of great topics as we were talking through this episode.
Yep.
We have a lot of great topics, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking a lot about marketing and sales and the 5 ways.
Awesome. See you next time.